This is Glenn Dean, and I know some of you may have seen me do this in the past. This is not that. This is something a little more pressing, a little more important right now. Uh, Let me give you a little background. Way back the Iraq War, I was a neocon. I went along with all the bullshit. Thought we had to get out there. Later on, I wised up, and I didn't like being knowing that I was manipulated and fooled. I didn't enjoy that. Um, if you go up, there's several things that happened along the way. One of those is the COVID. When COVID happened, it shocked me. It, it, I could not believe I was standing all alone, I often am, and once again saying that this is not right. They don't have. There's no pandemic exception in the Constitution. Lambasted or whatever. Eventually, most of those people came. Some of them came around to me. A lot of them did not, of course. By the way, do you remember who was president during that? God, it seems like it was Donald Trump, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, after that, they stole an election. And I thank Fox News for this because when um, Arizona was called by Fox News before a single vote was counted. Chris Wallace, what a douche, was there and did that. Immediately, I knew the fix was in, and I'm a data scientist, by the way, and so for all of you who think there's supposed to be a smoking gun, a picture, or some document, and that is the proof you need for election fraud, you're an idiot because statistical evidence is evidence, folks. You know, there were so many statistical anomalies in there that have never happened. It was almost like somebody won the lottery like 5 times in that election, right? So I became very skeptical, and thank the Lord I turned off Fox News. Hallelujah for that. And if you're still watching cable news, folks, you're going to stay in the psyop as long as you watch that. But if you want to get out, turn that shit off. Anyway, during the Biden presidency, one of the darkest hours in this country has ever seen, as far as civil liberties are concerned. And Democrats still today think that was okay because it was misinformation. Because governments are arbiters of misinformation. And in unison, I thought all Republicans agreed with me that's not right. The government cannot be the arbiter of truth. And even if it is the arbiter of truth, which it should not be, it still cannot, silencing people is a violation of free speech, whether in law or principle. And one way to do that, we talk about in principle by legislation or these bureaucrats just doing whatever the hell they want. That's what the administrative is a bypass of legislative and judicial branch. That's basically why it was created, because it's so hard to do things, the right way with the three branches of government. We're just going to create something that we're going to put it in the executive branch, but it's so big, president really can't even run it. We're going to call it the administrative state or something, but whatever. It's completely communist. It's exactly what was done in the Soviet Union. Ruled by professors and bureaucrats, right? Whatever. But getting off track there. I'm sorry, it happens to me, but let's get back on track. The civil liberties violations of the Biden regime was so bad that I was able to convince some moderate people or whatever, whatever Trump is, he's loud, all these things. He's not going to allow that, brother. He says he believes in freedom of speech. He said, a few other things. He's going to end these wars. He's going to actually even going to cut the defense budget. which is really, it's not a defense budget, folks. It's a budget for people who make bombs and shit. The soldier salaries and whatnot, and the cost of logistics and all that is a fraction compared to what we're spending on complete and utter nonsense. And a lot of that stuff is not monitored or tracked whatsoever. Oh, but you say, well, maybe nobody has a right to be here or whatever. Natural rights are given by God, folks. They're not given by governments. So that means they apply to everybody. But even legally, the Supreme Court's decided this. If you're in the United States, you get the same rights as Americans do. I'm sorry, because we don't get them from government. Believe it or not, we get it from God. So if you agree that the president has a right to affect speech of foreigners, you're wrong. But again, he starts clamping down on that on campuses, withholding money. And by the way, I don't think Harvard should get a single cent from a taxpayer, but it should not be withheld because of speech. That is a clear violation, at least in principle, of the principle of freedom of speech. And so right away, red flags, gosh. And then what, yeah, this whole thing with Pam Bondi, you got, it was a complete setup. We're going to put Getz up there. We know he's got some baggage, which is a conflated BS anyway, if you care. It's a miracle. This didn't happen to Getz, but it's a miracle. All these people that they have to get rid of, the government just suddenly finds child porn on their computers all of a sudden. It's crazy. All these people that oppose the government just seem to be into child porn, But Getz, they got him for child trafficking, which is, not actually trafficking children, but letting some girl who's, right under 18 fly on his airplane across the state. That's child trafficking. But anyway, it was all set up to get Bondi in there, and one of the worst attorney generals, and I'll get back to her some more later. Probably ever in this country, a horrible choice, an idiot. And right away, people I supported, Kash Patel, Bongino, right away they lied to us about the Epstein thing. Right away they're pissing down our back, boom, just like that. Oh, and the conservatives are just like, oh, we're taking a shower, it feels so good. Oh yeah, oblivious to the fact you're getting pissed on. But bless your hearts, I understand. I've been in the PSYOP before, but that's where you are. And going back to that term PSYOP, the number one, the very first indication you're in a PSYOP is if some view has to be silenced. And that's what all that censorship on campus was about, of course, is silencing certain views, which are anti-Israeli views, believe it. It's not even anti-American views. It's so funny. Our congressmen, they have enough sense to know that you can't pass a law saying you can't criticize the United States of America. But it's found it's okay for them to pass laws that say you can't criticize a foreign government. Whose population, by the way, is the size of New York City and maybe some surrounding areas. I don't know, but that's how little this country is that runs this country and runs our congressman with AIPAC. I think we've got out of 435, maybe just a handful. I know two of them right off the top of my head, Massey and MTG. And in the Senate, I know Rand Paul. But other than that, most all of them are being paid by Israel, being taken on flights to Israel. It's so wonderful. They get treated so good. Oh, but they get lots of money and then the AIPAC finds their pro-Zionist candidate to run against Massey every 2 years. And, that's the way it works. They take down candidates that are actually principled conservatives and love the United States of America. That's what they do because they're interest is not about some American-Israeli bullshit alliance. No, their interest is about Israel. That's what it's all about. And anyway, long story short, before I get too off here, I believe, without a shadow of a doubt whatsoever, that Charlie Kirk was killed by the Israelis. The very first thing, indication of this to me, was when Kirk was killed. The very first thing they did was say the patsy they picked there was in a trans relationship. And why would they do that? What does that have to do with the crime? It doesn't have anything to do with it. Oh, you think if he goes to court, you were in a trans relationship? Yeah, so guilty. No, that's not the way it works. It doesn't have anything to do with it. But they know that Americans, conservative Americans, had enough of this horrible thing they're doing to these people, putting them on these drugs, these hormone drugs, and they know that these people are going out and committing mass shootings, and then there's no toxicology report on them whatsoever. Oh, they just disappear. We never get to see it. Oh, you can file all the Freedom of Information Act shit you want. It doesn't matter in this country, folks. Come on, wake up. But I believe wholeheartedly, yes, they did kill Charlie Kirk, and that was the first indication to me something was wrong. But worse, they tried to use it. You never let a good tragedy go to waste, do you? To quote Rahm Emanuel, Republicans apparently are Rahm Emanuel fans now, but they've been trying to leverage this again for the purpose of clamping down on civil liberties and civil rights. The Attorney General of the United States, right after that, in an interview with a little liberal reporter, and of course, the whole thing was about our division. Of course, we got to keep that going. It's needful things, right? The devil, which is synonymous with the CIA. It has to keep us divided. The red team, blue team, at each other's throat, right? They have to do that, and they're very good at it. But anyway, she makes a statement that hate speech is not free speech. The Attorney General of the United States of America made a statement like that. That right there ought to shock anybody who believes in the Bill of Rights, civil liberties, natural rights, freedom of speech, whatever. That should shock anybody. She goes before the Senate. Not a single Democrat. It's teed up for Democrats. Why didn't they knock it out of the park? Not a single one of them hit her on that. Not a single one of the Republicans, of course. Give me a break. Are gonna say anything to her about that. She goes out and she gets her zingers to the Democrats, and all the stupid Republicans are like, yay, Pam Bondi did so good. How embarrassing you people are. But anyway, right away, boom. This is a psyop. We're leveraging it to clamp down on speech. It's a psyop. Hello. And then what I do, I find this interview with Kash Patel on something called America's Voice or whatever, I don't know what it's called. It's a neocon BS site, and Kash Patel, somebody I supported. Won't get fooled again, right? Anyway, because I was. But he goes on there and he pulls a term out of his ass called conspiracy theorist, which originated, of course, with the John F. Kennedy assassination, originated from the Central Intelligence Agency for the purpose. It's a way that it causes people to self-censor because it's a pejorative and that's attached to people who are actually looking at things and saying, this is fucking bullshit. And gosh, actually saying it out there, and you have to smear these people with a pejorative, and so they created that as a pejorative. And now people, even to this day, are afraid of it. They fear it, because I can't say something that I might be a conspiracy theorist. The same thing with Zionism. And by the way, in line with Pam Bondi making that statement that hate speech is not free speech, right before that, not long ago, Congress just affirmed a resolution that anti-Zionism is equal the same thing as anti-Semitism. Um, so if you oppose Israel, therefore you're engaging in hate speech. Not if you oppose the United States, which would be wrong, of course. But if you oppose a foreign government, Republicans, so-called conservatives, faux news fans, I guess, still allow that to happen. They allow this bill. They want this bill to pass, and they argue against the Democrats opposing it, which the Democrats' reason is probably crap. But Republicans that have any sense oppose it because there's a Palantir part of that bill. You're going to be surveyed even worse than you're going to be surveyed efficiently now because this Zionist company Palantir is going to do it really good. And so you're supporting your own surveillance. It's something I used to think Republicans were against that all of a sudden, but if you oppose that, the president goes after you and sticks AIPAC on you to take you out, C. Thomas Massey. So that, again, there's another clue. Hello, folks, wake up, smell the coffee, because if another thing about this silence, in addition to it being the number one indication that you're in a psyop, is nobody ever silences things that are not true. They lie to you and say they're silencing things that are not true or whatever. Things that get censored, is a better term, excuse me. Always true things. Lies can be countered with truth. You can kill lies with truth. But the only way you can kill truth is with censorship. And the president engaging in that, it has shocked me in these, I don't know, 9 months he's been in office, how much he said and deceived us, how much of that was bullshit. So if you're still on the Trump train, keep riding. But when this country finally comes to end and you're laying there on your deathbed, just remember Glenn Dean told you so. So cling to your cognitive dissonance, and have a grand old time whacking off to faux news with Jesse Kelly or whoever the hell you're looking at that's feeding you full of bullshit. Enjoy that and have a grand old time. Meanwhile, I'm going to stay conservative and those principles that the president supposedly run on. Us people who actually believe in that stuff, we're going to catch hell. And say, bring it on, brother. I'm fine with it. I've got grandchildren. I want to leave a country, and I die for this damn place to make it better for them. I don't give a rat's ass. You whatever, you kill all of us. It's only going to make you stronger. You're an idiot. If you think you can get away with this, that you're going to win by pulling this. And again, about that Kirk assassination, there's a couple more things. You got that Josh fellow that works at Turning Point coming out saying all this nonsensical Zionist bullshit that Kirk told him in his last conversation with him that he supported. And then somebody that was in a group text with him the actual night before Kirk was assassinated leaked some of those texts out there, and where Kirk is saying he believed that pro-Israeli billionaires are going to kill him. That's not something the FBI should be interested in. Obviously, that's by the way, that was proven true. Turning Point admitted that yes, those texts were actually true, and then they moved on to talk about something else. But in addition to that, there's plenty of other evidence. He got shot with a 30-06. I don't see him down. There aren't any blood on the people that helped him. interesting. It's just interesting. I don't know if any of you deer hunters, when you shoot something with a 30-06, what I guess kind of like shooting them with a BB gun, right, or something. It's just, or maybe it's just some magic thing. It hits them and they just poof, fall over. I don't. That's not true. That's called sarcasm for any of you blithering idiots out there. Who are you phone news watchers, boomers, or whatever. But they had to admit that was true. And by the way, you can go on to and look at Google statistics or search information anytime you want. Just Google how to do it, and you can do it. It's so ironic. They passed by a couple hospitals to get to this one hospital, after to bring Kirk to, and I don't know, 4 or 5 doctors in there of Israeli descent just happened to be working there coincidentally, and their names were searched, Googled from Israel the day before Kirk was assassinated. Nope, nothing to see here, of course. No, absolutely nothing to see here. And another thing about this is real bullshit, folks. Stop allowing them to equate Israel with Judaism, the religion, or Jewish people, Jewish Americans, or Jewish people across the world. Don't let them do that because it's two different things. I would hasten to say that a majority of American Jews, particularly the religious ones, not really fond of that country over there. They know it's a Meyer Lansky bullshit created gangster country. Calling Israel a Jewish state is like equating the Nazi state in Germany to Anglo-Saxons. Germanic people. Which is basically what any of us that have any kind of British descent and English descent or whatever. It's the same people, by the way. So if you don't call Nazi Germany the white Anglo-Saxon state, then stop allowing them to force you to equate Israel with as a Jewish state, because we are not anti-Semitic. And there are some idiots out there who or certainly are. But if you are one of those people, get the hell out of here because you don't belong here. Please leave. You're not a friend of mine. But again, getting back to all this, there's no doubt whatsoever that Kirk was killed by the Israelis, and there's no doubt whatsoever. And our Justice Department knows it, and they're covering this shit up. They're corrupt as hell, which makes me think that maybe our intelligence apparatus was involved in it also. And that includes the Federal Bureau of Investigation, another rogue institution which should have been abolished. And God, I thought Kash Patel was going to do something else on day one. I know Trump was going to end the Ukraine war on day one. We're still sending money to Ukraine, by the way, as well as anybody else, while Americans don't get anything. But you have to understand it's important that we give that money or whatever to them, because that money is going back to our defense contractors, and that's really important. For the defense contractors, we're big business. Huge business. And so here we are, and whether or not, whatever you believe or whatsoever, you have to at least wake up to the fact of the Israeli influence on our government. All the senators and congressmen that are getting AIPAC money and all those trips over to Israel. Israel, when they come visit our intelligence or they come visit our White House, they leave bugs on the presidential car and everything. They're a horrible government. And for all you so-called Christian Zionists, God, what an idiot you are. I want you to Google the Christian population in places like Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, um, Iran. I would say, and especially in British Palestine pre 1945. And I want you to look at the Christian population in that region now. Now, I'm sure that your little Christian Zionist idiocy, I'm sure your form of Jesus, whatever the hell that is you believe, was not my Jesus, but your Jesus, I guess it approves of running Christians off of their homelands, right? That's good. In fact, the most recent settlements out there to Gaza that have come from these rich Americans from New Jersey, Philadelphia, whatever, the most recent settlement there uprooted Christians. So we're Christian Zionists, and all the state has to do to snag these Benny Hinn's and idiots are out there, and which a lot of you people are, is to call the country Israel. That fulfills prophecy in the Bible, and it's going to be a magnet for Jesus. Bless your hearts, folks. You're really it's like you're fooled too, but it's easy to fool you because you want to be fooled. But if you're not into all that, and again, if you've traditionally been on the blue team, or you've traditionally been on the red team, and you're still out there squabbling with each other, I've been in this myself too. All you are is playing right into the hands of the psyop. I've talked about the movie Needful Things. I think it's a great movie, or it's about a Stephen King book, and anyway, the devil moves into this small Maine town, and he starts causing people to clash, confusion and anger at each other. And that's the way the CIA works everything. They keep us at each other's throats while they're out there violating our rights. It's and I understand all of these domestic policy issues are very important to each one of us, but we're at a time right now for fundamental issues like freedom of speech. We've got to have a coalition, be it right, left, together, or whatever, that agrees that freedom of speech is that freedom of speech. And the only speech that needs protected, by the way, is not popular speech. The only speech that needs protected, Pam Bondi, is something that would be labeled hate speech. So if you're out there and you want to agree that, let's create a movement. Let's do it. But going back to this whole time, I'm going to have people on. Got my red shirt on, so on my little red team that are going to be really mad at me, really upset at me about this. But I'm not wed to individuals. I'm not. I don't kneel before men. I don't give a rat's ass about men. I supported this individual because I thought he shared the same values I did. But it turned out that all of those things that I oppose, the wars, the military-industrial complex, all of those things are wide open on steroids now, including, among those things, civil liberties violations and clampdowns on freedom of speech. I just tried to post a comment to somebody on a social media platform today, and within seconds, that long comment I wrote outlining everything just disappeared. Isn't that interesting? Who's behind that? You think that Zuckerberg just decided we're going to get rid of anti-Israeli or posts that question the Kirk assassination narrative? Or do you think there's pressure? Come on, folks. Now, I'm sure Zuckerberg will go along with anything. He'll grab his ankles, whatever, for an extra billion. So I'm not, letting Facebook and Meta or even Musk or whoever, any of these people that might be doing this off. I'm not definitely not doing that, but there's no question. We know it from the last administration that those came down from the FBI and told them to do that. Um, you know, along those lines, recently, I've always been a huge fan of South Park. I love satire and comedy. I have a sense of humor. I know it's really difficult for some of you out there, you boomers, you millennials, but I have a what's called a sense of humor, and I think that show is very funny. This season was abruptly ended, and places like the Gateway Pundit just don't understand why they just suddenly ended it. Which sure it has nothing to do, but with Comedy Central being owned by Paramount, and Paramount being bought by Larry Ellison, and Larry Ellison butt buddies with Donald Trump and Peter Thiel, who were really very beautifully made fun of in this short season of South Park, which was abruptly cut short. I'm sure it has absolutely nothing to do with that. No, what am I, a conspiracy theorist? I always I'm an eternal optimist. A fool, a dreamer. I want to believe in people. I want to believe in things. But I continually find myself on the final pages of Animal Farm, and once again, I did get fooled again. And you all have too. And some of you know it and are going to join me, but majority of you, you're going to dig in. You're going to stay in the red blue team fight, and you know, is there any hope? Am I trying to change something that I can't? The courage change things can, and the wisdom to know the difference between what you can and can't change. Am I trying to change something that I cannot change? I don't believe it, but again, I might fail, and we might fail. But we better ask. We better damn sure try. Better try. Our grandchildren owe it to us. Um, and again, red team. Oh, I knew the whole time that we weren't really aligned. I knew it in the back of my mind. I knew it. And your reaction to what this president has done has shown that you're not aligned with me. You're aligned with a man, and that's a damn shame. Because long after that man's gone, this country's still going to be here, and your grandchildren are going to be living in a police state. And we're going to continue to be subservient to that little country out there in the Middle East that was created by Meyer Lansky's buddies. Anyway, yes, I'm Glenn Dean. I'm back at doing this. Let's call this new podcast or vodcast or whatever. You know, the humbled conservatarian THC. Just seems like a good name. I know I'm smiling, but this is a very serious matter, folks. Be an open mind. Do your research on the things I said. I'm not going to provide you with the links. You've got Google on your damn self. But you're probably not interested, so don't worry. It's fine. Some of you are not. Some of you are, hopefully. But if I stand alone, I'm fine with it because all I care about is being right. I'd rather be right than to be loved any day. Thank you. God bless this country. God save it. Thank you.